winner to organize the 2022 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
In America and some countries, they look at some movements as terrorist movements. In our part of the region, we don't.
You cannot continue to fund terrorism.
The World Cup, a great sports event which every soccer fan around the globe waits for every 4 years. It is the greatest honor which countries not only compete to win its trophy, but to host the tournament. One of these countries is Qatar. A stunning surprise made by FIFA on December 2nd, 2010, by declaring Qatar the host nation of the FIFA World Cup in 2022.
The winner to organize the 2022 FIFA World Cup is Qatar.
That country, which covers an area which does not exceed 11,521 kilometers, has become the first Arab and Middle Eastern nation to receive the honor, surpassing other nations in the size of Australia, United States of America, Japan, and South Korea. What is added to the ongoing sharp controversy on the convention of the most important sports event in the world in this tiny state is not only its minimal credit in soccer, weak infrastructure in the soccer world, or its bad climate, but also the raging questions about the status of human rights therein. And the indictment on providing bribes to win the race, and most importantly, the explicit accusations of funding terrorism. Six years have passed since the FIFA decision. Still, the controversy is on, and it has become sharper to the extent of talking about withdrawing the event from Doha. The question remains, what has this princedom provided to host the World Cup? On January 29th, during the Asia Cup of Nations Final 2011, a game between Australia and Japan, an incident happened that raised the fears about the way of dealing with huge masses of soccer fans when the Qatari police closed the gates that lead to the stadium, barring many of the game ticket holders from entry. Anti-right forces intervened to arrest the fans. Although they did not demonstrate, they were just waving their tickets, asking the police to let them in. The crowds inside the stadium did not have better luck than their peers on the outside. They were not allowed to get out of the stadium after the game ended. They were locked behind a fence under allegations of carrying fireworks. More than once, Qatar has been accused of providing bribes to buy the votes of the FIFA Executive Committee members. One of them is the pressure practiced by Nicolas Sarkozy, the French president at that time, on Michel Platini, UEFA president, to vote for the princedom in return of the latter's purchase of Paris Saint-Germain Football Club, which has been yearning under a dire financial crisis, and to establish a sports channel in France.
It was agreed inside the group that we go to Russia because they've never been in Eastern Europe, and for 2022 we go back to America, and so we will have the World Cup with the two biggest political powers, and everything was good until Sarkozy came in a meeting with the Crown Prince of Qatar, who is now the ruler of Qatar, and in a lunch afterwards with Monsieur Platini, and they said it would be good to go to Qatar, and this has changed the old pattern.
These allegations has caused an investigation in the British Parliament, especially after the Sunday Times published an article about that issue. FIFA investigated it in mid-2011 without reaching a result due to the absence of proof. Meanwhile, the Qatari World Cup Organizing Committee negated these accusations. The effect of the scandal touched upon Jack Warner, deputy president of FIFA, who has been previously suspended by FIFA Ethics Committee on the account of putting him into investigation on the charges of corruption. In the same year, he resigned until it was decided on September 29, 2015, to ban him from practicing any soccer activity.
I mean, we've already seen that a lot of FIFA officials have been accepting bribes, like Jack Warner and Teixeira and several others. There was one from Paraguay and so on. That's why they've continued to support Qatar.
Warner never accepted to fall alone. He leaked an email from Jerome Falke, the Secretary General of FIFA, that included the princedom's purchase of the rights of hosting 2022 World Cup. Falke himself made a statement negating that it was not a bribe and explained that Qatar used its financial membership to practice pressure to gain support. Theo Zwanziger, the president of the German Football Association at that time, called for reconsidering giving the World Cup for the princedom on the backdrop of these accusations. In 2012, Ricardo Teixeira, the FIFA Executive Committee member, resigned. Teixeira's daughter was in contact via money transaction from the former president of Barcelona Football Club, who made the deal worth of $210 million with Qatar Foundation 1 week after the vote for organizing the World Cup, according to Daily Telegraph newspaper. Joseph Sepp Blatter, the FIFA president, ended up resigning on December 2, 2015. He was also banned from practicing any football-related activities for 8 years, after being arrested by the Swiss police. On October 12, 2017, the Swiss prosecution authorities started a criminal investigation with Jérôme Falca and Nasser El-Khelaifi, the CEO of BN Media Network, about corruption related to rights of broadcasting World Cup. On the same day, the French authorities announced that BN Sports offices in Paris were inspected as part of that investigation. In June and July, Qatar's climate reaches relatively high temperatures, scoring over 40 degrees centigrade, which is the same time frame allocated to the World Cup finals. That issue raised many protests from those who are interested in the Mondial, among who were FIFA Executive Committee members who warned against the effect of the climate on the safety of the players and spectators. A FIFA official declared that the World Cup could be withdrawn from Qatar for reasons related to players' safety after the doctors warned against holding soccer games in relatively high temperatures, holding the FIFA responsible for the anticipated health problems in case of ignoring that fact. Blatter himself admitted that on December 9, 2013, saying it might be a mistake to grant Qatar the right of hosting the World Cup in 2022, especially that everyone is aware that holding the competitions in the summer will pose a dangerous problem. He reiterated that confession on May 16, 2014, assuring that the Mondial must be held in winter due to the extreme hot weather.
Et bien sûr, mais écoutez...
Vous dites que c'était une erreur, oui?
Oui, enfin une erreur. Une erreur. Vous savez, on commet beaucoup d'erreurs dans la vie. Le rapport technique du Qatar indiquait bien qu'il fait trop chaud en été. Mais le comité exécutif, avec une majorité assez large, a quand même décidé qu'on va jouer au Qatar.
Despite of that princedom's assurances of facilitating climate-controlled fields, the controversy went on, because some assumed that the Mondial is not exclusive to the soccer fields. FIFA settled that argument by changing the time of the World Cup for the first time in history to be held in winter, from November 21st to December 18th, 2022. What a surprise! The new date chosen to hold the 2022 Mondial falls in the same time frame for the heavy rain season on many Gulf states, and Qatar is one of them. Late November 2015, after the photos and videos had spread throughout social media, the streets of Doha that witnessed the fall of heavy rain was transformed into what looked like a swimming pool. And water leaked into the airport of the capital, the shopping malls, and the surrounding hotels, which raised many questions around the ability of that princedom to host the championship during that time frame. Organizing the World Cup during winter will harm all arrangements of the European leagues, in which most of the soccer stars in the world play. It will also compel FIFA to renegotiate with all TV channels that are supposed to broadcast the Mondial games. World Cup is the only suitable occasion that Americans show huge interest in soccer, the NFL may coincide with it, and as such, it will be catastrophic.
Huge play. Elliott into Steeler territory. Down the sideline. And in for the touchdown. No flags.
Critiques about foreign labor in relation to work conditions and accusations about the death of workers in construction sites were charged to Qatar. The last in a series was from Amnesty International in March 2016 that charged Doha with forcing foreign workers to work in the construction of Khalifa International Stadium for 2022 World Cup. In the heart of Doha, the Qatari capital, it is easy to discover that the modern city in its appearance contains slums that can be described as inhuman. That princedom that always takes pride in being the richest in the world on the level of individual income has large segments of its population live in these slums. However, that large individual income doesn't include foreign workers from India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, among others. About 2 million foreign workers, who form the majority of the population of that princedom, receive low pay and work in hazardous conditions and forced to live in dirty areas and pay enormous immigration fees, and their employers deprive them of getting their least rights, that is, their salaries.
My boss said, if you don't work for 700 riyals, you won't get paid and you won't get your passport back.
I'm in prison.
All I want is my salary, like he promised, and on time.
We've met workers who have been unpaid for many, many months, up to 9 months or a year in Qatar. And that can be deeply traumatic for any worker to be unable to earn a living or to go home.
If a worker gets a very low salary, it will be very hard for him to file a lawsuit against the employer because the court will not be fair, will not give the applicant his due rights, since it goes on for months and require a lot of money a foreign worker cannot afford. A worker's fate will be very much like his peers who worked for 6 months and never get paid, and has left home without any reimbursement for the work.
We are the one not being paid properly. We are the one not being sent home. We finished our contract already.
Shame on FIFA! Shame on FIFA! Shame on FIFA! Shame on FIFA!
But Doha always promised to investigate these allegations and commit to a methodical reform of the labor law in the country. However, these promises has never been swallowed by the international organization, who has warned that the proposed reforms will not make much difference since some of the foreign workers still live in a nightmare. The Amnesty International organization's accusations touch the FIFA, who is held responsible for the utter failure in stopping the ongoing competition of violating human rights. It seems that FIFA abandoned a lot for Qatar to host the World Cup and never declared a clear and specific agenda to force Qatar to guarantee the rights of foreign labor. By looking at the provided potentials of all the bidding nations for 2022 World Cup, and despite of the enormous budget that Qatar has allocated to organize this event, that princedom has the least number of stadiums by 12 stadiums. Only 9 of them are under construction and 3 are being upgraded. This is not everything. Qatar has the least number of fans' tickets since they have only 3 million tickets available for sale during the event. Warnings against holding the Mondial in that princedom included airports. Some info leaks revealed that even after the completion of constructing the airports, the arrival terminals will not accommodate the number of visitors. Strangely enough, the runways and the Qatari airspace will not be able to accommodate all the passenger airplanes.
In America and some countries, they look at some movements as terrorist movements. In our part of the region, we don't.
احنا الحين نفتح مبنى السفارة الإلكترونية في طرابلس.
اجتمع وزراء خارجية جمهورية مصر العربية والمملكة العربية السعودية والإمارات العربية المتحدة ومملكة البحرين في القاهرة لوقف دعم دولة قطر للتطرف والإرهاب.
Qatar, known as a funder of terrorism. And we said, you can't do that. You can't do that. We have to starve the beast.
إن الممارسات القطرية الخطيرة لم يقتصر شرها على مملكة البحرين فقط.
كانت إجراءات مؤلمة لنا لكن اتخذناها بسبب دعم قطر للإرهاب والتطرف.
أكيد هذا القرار بقطع العلاقات مع قطر ألقى بظلاله القوية اليوم على السوق القطرية. مؤشر السوق سجل تراجعات قوية جدا خلال التداولات وأنهى الجلسة على خسائر تفوق 7%.
أمر بالنسبة لقطر تعدى بكثير من نقطة الاتهام.
مواقع قناة الجزيرة الذراع الإعلامية التي استخدمتها قطر لتنفيذ مخططاتها.
هذه وقائع مسجلة وموثقة وسياسة تتبع على مدى 20 عام من الدعم والاحتضان ورعاية التنظيمات ووجودها على الأراضي القطرية.
اعتبر الرئيس الأمريكي دونالد ترامب الإجراءات التي اتخذت حيال الدوحة أنها قد تشكل بداية نهاية رعب الإرهاب.
Hopefully it will be the beginning of the end of funding terrorism.
Here is a devastating blow given to the princedom by 9 Arab nations: Egypt, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Yemen, Mauritania, Comoros Islands, the Maldives, and Libya, to politically boycott Qatar after proving that Qatar supports terrorist organizations, in addition to sowing the seeds of sedition and division inside Arab societies.
Stop funding, stop teaching hate, stop the killing.
Jordan, Djibouti, and Senegal have also decided to decrease their diplomatic representation in Qatar. Niger has withdrawn its ambassador from Doha. Chad has decided to shut down the Qatari embassy and expelled the diplomatic mission, accusing Qatar of destabilizing the Central Africa region by supporting terrorist groups in Libya. The situation has not stopped there. In the White House, President Trump has declared Qatar a financier of terrorism on the highest levels, and that time has come for Qatar to stop funding terrorism and dissemination of extremist ideology.
You cannot continue to fund terrorism.
Claudia Roth, the German parliament member, has demanded the withdrawal of the World Cup from Qatar because it does not deserve that honor.
Frau Merkel, finden Sie persönlich gut, dass die WM 2022 in Katar stattfindet? Ja oder nein? Für Sie persönlich?
Nicht so besonders gut, nein.
Nein.
Herr Schulz?
Nein.
once anew, that princedom attracts the spotlight by a new trick, and Paris Saint-Germain Football Club is back to raise controversy, as it has been part of the bribes that Qatar has provided to host the 2022 World Cup. The Gulf state that has been sentenced to be boycotted needs to prove its ability to step forward and reinforce its propaganda machine with a new warrior who can attract the lights away from its malicious face. Neymar da Silva. That is the password behind the deal that shocked the sports media. The transfer of the famous Brazilian player from Barcelona Football Club to the French club, whose owner is the Qatari businessman, for $263 million, the impossible value of the penalty condition that is stated in the 24-year-old player's contract. The law of fair financial play, which prohibits such violations, was the only barrier in front of Qatar. However, it was not hard for the Qatari owners of the club to circumvent the law by a well-set plan. They entered a third party in the deal. They asked one of the companies to pay the money for the player so Da Silva could be able to buy his contract by himself and be free. What a mean foul play. PSG hasn't had enough. The club declared in August 2017 that they are officially contracting with Kylian Mbappé, the striker and star of AS Monaco, in a form of a loan for 1 season. Then the contract will be transformed into a final purchase by the summer of 2018 for $214 million in the second most expensive deal in the world after Neymar. Few hours after the conclusion of the deal, UEFA responded by starting an official investigation about the deal made by the French club and its compatibility with the rules of the association. Barcelona Football Club president Maria Portomio launched harsh criticism against PSG because of the enormous amounts of money that are paid to hire players, accusing Qatar of deforming football. As for the FIFA, there's no wonder in looking at all the above with a blind eye, since it is the one who preferred to change the standards of the World Cup and challenge the interests of the world for that princedom. The question is, what is it that is between FIFA and that princedom to make it generous offers to that extent? Or wealth has truly different calculations.